Charmstone hit the front, 150 to go. Sayora, West of Africa. West of Africa coming after Charmstone. West of Africa dropped on them and won. It's Catoggio in front, 150 to go. Basusto's coming to beat him with arriving home. Catoggio, Basusto, give me spaces, flying. Missed, just missed. OLA's hit the front, 100 metres left to run. Memo's running on. It's OLA in front, and OLA's racing away in an unforgettable millions in the club's colours and all.
And now on PG Podcast Network, it's time for the year-round carnival with Vince Accardi and your host, Racetrack Ralphie.
Ole indeed, audio courtesy of Sky Racing. Big Magic Millions night on Friday night, and Vince Cardi from Daily Sexuals will break it all down with me. Good morning, mate.
Good morning, Ralphie. Unbelievable racing there, wasn't it?
Well, dear me, I mean, you know, we go from a heavy track mindset, which we had when we first recorded that preview pod the week before, to, yeah, it's probably going to be a slow track. How'd the track actually play on Friday night?
Does the word quick mean something? I mean, I don't get it. I mean, if we look at just like the standard, I mean, the daily track average was plus 2.28, and I was pretty much locked into the same sort of process. So we were 100% G3, Ralphie.
Was not what we were expecting.
No, far from it. So I don't know what's happened in amongst that. A little bit. The only interesting part was the track around near the 400 metre mark.
Yep,
was the only spot that you would have had G4, because the variations on either side was about 1.5 to 2 lengths. So that's it. It was a little bit of Caulfield there, just for that section only.
So we may as well go through all the races in order, given they were all features. The first one was the Stayers race. The great man Lee Freeman trained the winner there. I just more from a learning perspective here, Vince. This is your classic case, isn't it, of a load leader with Skylab. I'll get you to tell us how quick, but it was flying. But really, the true pace wasn't Skylab.
No, that's correct. But Skylab plus 7.7. Good speed, Ralphie.
That shows you how fast the track was.
Yeah, no, absolutely it does. And you can just have a look at that horseman last 400, 11.6 below benchmarks. It was absolutely flying for that horse. But the reality is the real speed of the race was somewhere a lot closer to plus 3 or 2.7. Was that Tanahasser, who's running at that? Yeah, and then Watapi, roughly 2.3. And I felt that that's really where all the race was run, from a pretty orderly setup. I mean, and cars going 1.7 below.
Given that overall time, 2.6 below, gee, I think probably Belvedere boys. Now, the caller called it unlucky. I'm keen on your take there from the 400 to 200. I guess it probably showed that it was. Losing a length there of momentum?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, see, the problem is, Ralphie, with that section of the track, I'm just not sure is the unlucky because of just that patch there. Because all day, or all night, I should say, that raced a couple of lengths off. But I thought it was there to win. There's nothing between them, though, Ralphie. I think that's more to the point.
We wouldn't be in a hurry making a heap of money out of this.
No, absolutely not.
I'll tell you one place to make money, though, that's to be on Baker's table there. So how often do we say it? Grand final trainers, grand final races, and he's delivered on the day. This Ole and Memo and Gallo Nero, actually, who won the race, they all come through. Rosehill race on the 28th, but Ole and Memo, that was a proper race at Wyong previously. What type of performances Ole produced in winning.
Yeah, well, there you go, Ralph. You got in the top 10, minus 1.7. You can see there's a clear dip there. Again, you know, you have a look at it between the 8 and the 400 metres. It's gone from 0.3 above to 1.2 below, then surged again over the last 400 with a plus 3.4. Got in the top 10. That was solid, Ralphie. And if you sort of cast your eye on the previous sort of handful of starts of the horse, as this horse did reach a new level, not by a great deal, but this is pretty good for a 2-year-old filly, Ralphie. I was quite taken overall for where this horse is heading, and I just look at the intel there and say we're probably looking at a benchmark horse realistically already.
And at the moment, we'll get to Wodson in the members bonus, but at the moment, anything benchmark range, that's good enough to be the elite 2-year-old.
Yeah, excellent. I'm assuming this horse would this horse be targeting anything Blue Diamond or nah?
I would assume the Golden Slipper. I mean, why not? Yeah, but it's behind Storm Boy from last year, just as a comparison. But again, you only have to beat your opposition. So at the moment, the crop hasn't risen to that level.
Yep, agree.
Yep. So, Memo, was it unlucky or just not good enough?
I felt that the horse was not good enough, Ralphie, personally. Number one, through the first section, didn't do as much work as Ole. In the mid, the slowdown was significantly less. Have a look at the variation, Ralphie. 0.4 slowdown, Memo, 1.5 Ole. And then last 400, yes, they match motors over the last two, but last 400 metres, I felt that Ole also had its measure.
If you want to see how fast that track was, let's go to the third race, the sprint, because this was beautiful, sustained speed from Zarastro. The little theme for the day is about what a grand final trainer, and we say this often now when we cover Queensland, Tony Golan is, because two of his horses, one, Zarastro, and we'll get to Hidden Wealth, came off plain runs, but 2 starts earlier, they were fantastic. Zarastro on the 7th of December, minus 1.1 below benchmark. Second on the day, we wrote in Sizzlers, very consistent sprint over 1,200, generally with a run under his belt. As such, this was a perfect return, just missing over 1,000 metres. And we went on to break it down and finish with saying current PB is a very strong 1.8 lengths above benchmark here, as in Eagle Farm, June. Back in June. How did he go on Saturday?
Yeah, Ralphie, well, you're right about the Golden boys. They certainly know how to get these horses peaking. There it is, plus 1.9 pretty much. This is its new peak. And it did it in unbelievable style. Plus 4.2 early, 1.2 between the 8 and the 4 above, and then last 400 metres plus 2.7. Just a strong display performance, and took out the honours for the day or the night as being the best performing horse of the whole card. I actually just felt this is the best the horse has ever gone.
And this is how you ride a speed horse, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
Look at that explosive pace. This is all tick Angela Jones here.
Well, it just put pressure on everybody, and even though you look at the mid race and you've got a slowing, the reality is it was still pressure.
Yep.
Like it wasn't a below benchmark scenario. Everybody's had to run to a decent speed, and then in a number of cases, some horses had to sort of look to try and improve on their pace.
So with Samana, I think this is the horse to take out of the meeting, to be honest, without doing a deep dive yet, because, as you always say, once you enter a horse, it might be the right race, but you're not sure if you're going to get the right race shape. She's out of her comfort zone at this pace, isn't she?
Yeah.
First up.
I don't believe they would have been sort of doing their work thinking they're going to have this sort of intensity in a race. And whilst, yes, it is first up, the horse really had to... I felt had to find a lot of pressure through the entire race. It was all above benchmark from start to finish. Of course, if you compare it to the winner, it was a little bit off, Ralphie. But the way I'm looking at it is, I'm looking at the Raws and saying you've gone 4.4 above on the Raws. Yes, it was behind the rest, but off a pretty much 100-day break.
Yeah,
pretty impressive. And then I look at the overall last 1,000 metres for the entire card, hard in the top 5 for the whole meeting. I just reckon that's just testament to the stable about. Firstly, look how well they had the horse in shape, ready for a contest, and it was probably just that little bit too tough, that race. If it had been 2-3 lengths softer through the first section, this horse probably, I don't know, they might have been getting victory, Ralphie.
Actually, I take that back when I said horse to follow the meeting. Or the horse that didn't win to follow, horse to follow out of the meeting, I think is West of Africa. Now, wasn't expecting it to jump straight into this class, but this is what we wrote in Sizzlers. 1.8 lengths below benchmark, 17th of the day. This was at Randwick on the 21st. This was a big return run, just below his minus 1.2 PB, which he produced twice late 2022 as a colt, but now starting his second prep as a gelding. Looks set for his best prep yet. At the 800, he was going minus 9.2 and had him 10.6 legs for the lead in a non-winning position, plus 5 in the mid-race, booming 14.2 leg squeeze. He sustained home with 5.9 last 400, which was the sixth best today. Looks very dangerous, this prep, up to a mile range. What did he do on Saturday night? It looked remarkable to the eye.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you look at it. To me, it looked like non-winning position.
Yep.
And coming out extremely deep probably was the difference, but 5.2 lengths below benchmark through that first split time, you just were not in a place where you were going to be getting victory. But the move was colossal between the 8 and the 4, going plus 5. That was massive. It was one of the biggest squeezes of the night. And then last 400 metres, it was just... And I don't know how much I want to attribute to the actual, being out deep, but plus 7.3. It was just phenomenal, Ralphie. And I felt that it beat a real good racehorse too in Charm Stone, and that further solidifies that this performance was very real, Ralphie.
Look, I know the big money's for the 2 and 3, or not that this was small money, mind you, of course, it was still huge money, but every year there seems to be a horse outside of the main 2 races. Last year was Lady Laguna, ironically, also an OTI horse. I think this is the horse that's outside of these the big races to really follow.
It's funny, there was always sort of talk about this horse having some ability.
Yep.
And I just feel we've really seen it. This is what this horse, what others have talked about. No question. We have seen this horse emerge. Now, the hard part is this, especially coming from that stable, is the 1.4 it, or is there more to come, and how much do we really want to attribute to the out wide? Could that 3.9 last 200 metres, if it was in the opposite situation and closer to the fence, would the horse still have finished with that sort of speed? So these are just the little things, but no matter what, this was a top performance. And, and I'm being nitpicking here, trying to say, okay, how much can I allow? Maybe 1.4 is going to be it, but if it's not, they're going to win a decent race, Ralphie, another decent race somewhere in Sydney or Melbourne.
Given what you said about the big run out wide and his mile profile, is he a crazy Doncaster spec? I mean,
why not?
He's got a Randwick mile win on him, and it was dominant. And like I said, this is his second prep as a gelding now.
Whatever's happened, this horse has come to its capability. I'm just curious now to see. I mean, how far away is a race like that, Ralphie?
Well, it's early April, so okay. It gives them time for a little freshen and then go bang.
Yeah, well, we'll be able to see if this horse can, deliver a next level or not.
Once again, this is our point about, always treat every race individually, because race 5, in comparison, it was also 1,400 metres. It was worth an extra $1 million for the 3-year-olds, unfortunately, and good on the great, the horse named after the great man, Peter Bizzusto. Not much on the clock here, Vince.
Well, no. Minus 2.3 overall. But realistically, Ralph, if you look at it, they've gone like in what I would consider to be a good pace, 3.4 above first section. Cottagio, was looking the goods for a long way. In the mid-race, I felt this was the scenario, and I do feel that the ride of Cottagio played part of that role, even though, I know there's some part of that track there wasn't, spot on, but that slowing of 5.5 lengths, which pretty much affected the majority of horses other than the horse that's run second, like big slowdowns, probably prevented this race from being somewhere closer to benchmark or running it, let's just say, realistically, another half a second quicker.
Race 6 for the mares. This was just targeting a race 101 and fantastic work by Price Kent team. Terrific at Caulfield. Ballarat, possibly the bonus win, just got there and really peaked in its grand final with a 41-day freshen.
Yeah, and I just thought this was like almost a perfect ride.
Yeah.
0.6 below for first section, beautiful. Just tagging that lead speed a little bit more than 4 lengths. No overextension in the mid-race, going 1.9 above, and then held on with good energy over the last 400 metres with a plus 1.3. I look at the Raws, 2.5 above, just below benchmark for the night, 0.6 below, but that's fourth best performance of the night. Very, very good. They would be very happy with that.
And to finish with, Hidden Wells won last again to underline Tony Golan off a flat run after a good win there. Now it's run slower time than Miss Roombini, but by the look of it, the race shape has impacted it given the big mid-race slowdown there.
Oh, I'd say this was one of the really excellent runs of the night, Ralphie. 0.2 above that first split time. If you compare it to the winner of the previous race, probably running about 3/4 of a length quicker. But look how, like you said, Ralphie, look at how savage the slowdown was in the mid. 4.2 length slowdown compared to Miss Robini going 2.5 above. Massive. Yeah. 6 lengths variation. And then the last 400 Hidden Wealth, was outstanding. This is one of the horses that I really liked on the way it performed or not, because there was a few other runners that I was looking at, like Yellow Brick. I was very keen to see what that horse was going to deliver. Even the horse that ran second, I was really keen to see what that horse was going to be able to produce. But Hidden Wealth, honest to that horse, to me, worthy of being like top 2 or 3 for the night.
So it's one of those illusions where you think the winner was actually dominant, even though there wasn't a big margin.
Yep, absolutely.
What do we make of Boom Talk? It had a different setup to this time last year when it was just outstanding when it 1 second up, but it was off a stronger lead-in race, and it had, I think, a bit more depth to its fitness. Or was it just plain on the night? Even though it ran third, I know, but given what it did the year prior.
Well, from a distribution of energy, you couldn't fault it. 5 lengths below benchmark. It's sort of on the outer range, like it's still in the zone. But the reality was, in the move in the mid-race, it's improved its pace by 3.5 lengths, where a number of other horses were slowing, particularly the winner. And then when I look at the last 400 and 200 metres, particularly the last 2, it didn't improve any further. So it was done. Now, there's a few ways you can take that. Is it possible that move between the 8 and the 4 prevented the horse from being even more dominant over the last 400 metres, or was that it? And yeah. I'm saying no, good performance, but the winner. It just comes back to the winner, Ralphie, was just so good.
So I think the takeaways of those that were beaten, maybe Samana, but then West of Africa has got the big circle, and the last 2 winners, Miss Roombini and Hidden Wealth from the card.
Yeah, I probably still keep a little mark on that Yellow Brick, because I there's no way that horse was the right distance, and I was looking to see what sort of performance it could put down. And when you just go, even though it's sort of ranked around 30 on the day, you just look at that run, it had a lot of merit, and I'm looking forward to seeing this horse when it starts to get up to a mile and beyond.
That's going to be its a spot. All right. As always, Vince's work is via dailysectionals.com.au. My work via racetrackralphie.com.au. Appreciate you listening. If you're a member, we're going to do a deep dive into Woden, the big 2-year-old boom from Saturday. And there's a couple of nice little trialers that I want to ask Vince about, because at the moment, including the Queen yesterday, I haven't yet clocked that, but Via Sistina returned. So there's a couple of interesting ones there. That'll be a Group 1 bonus to become a member via my website, racetrackralphie.com.au. You support the fact that Vince and I are completely corporate bookmaker ad free, is what we produce for you each and every week on Year Round Carnival.